I call the Public Works Committee meeting June 11th, 2025, 6:30 PM in the courthouse council chambers. Community members present are Commissioner Callahan, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner O'Leary. I am Commissioner Mankins. Absent are Commissioner O'Neill and Commissioner Healy. With that being said, we have two communications on the docket right now. Communication number one, number 2024-544, Michelle Shea, District 2 Commissioner, requesting a status update and Public Works Committee review of the conditions of the walking trail tunnel under Harrison Avenue south of Dickey's Barbecue. I was not at the last meeting. Commissioner O'Neill ran. We held this in abeyance for some time now. We have Director Neary in the courthouse now that is probably going to give us some kind of update at this point. So with that being said, Director Neary, would you like to come to the microphone?
Thank you, Chairman Mankins. At this time, I don't have any new updates.
So with that, Director Neary, who have you been in contact with the State Department to try to address or to see who is responsible for the tunnel at Harrison Avenue?
What's your question?
Who have you been in contact with the state?
Jim Pisani, the maintenance chief.
Any other questions from any of the other commissioners at this time? Commissioner Shea.
I didn't look, but are there lights in the tunnel, the culvert?
Chairman Mankins, Commissioner Shea, there is lights in the tunnel, but I have not checked to see who's paying the bill.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions by any of the commissioners? Seeing none. Commissioner Shea, would you like to continue to hold this? So with the pleasure of the committee, would like to make a motion to hold this. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to hold communication 2024-544 in abeyance, pending further updates from the Public Works Director.
So we have a motion on the floor to hold this in abeyance with Director Neary giving us updates as he comes across them. We have a second by Commissioner Callahan. All those in favor? All those against? That is a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Next on the docket is communication number 2025-297. Russ O'Leary, Commissioner District 9, informing Council of Commissioner about a concern regarding roadside trash and landfill covered load requirements. Commissioner O'Leary, would you like to open up with your communication, please?
Thank you, Chairman Mankins. This was a letter that I received from a constituent out on the south end of town. She was wanting to get some kind of update, I guess, on what our plans were dealing with the garbage along the roads on the way to the landfill. I don't know if you all had a chance to read the letter, but she had kind of two concerns. One was the amount of trash along the roads. The second one had to do with enforcement of the covered loads ordinance at the landfill. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm not sure if anybody, she didn't say that she was going to make it tonight, but if anybody had any comments about this, what we might be able to do to address this, that'd be great.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Leary. We do still have Director Neary here, and let's see if you'd like to address this at this point.
Thank you, Chairman Mankins, Commissioner O'Leary. I don't believe her concern is on the road to the landfill. From Rocker to the landfill is clean. I believe she's talking about the highway, and Continental Drive was in there. So I think her concern is trash all over. I don't know if there was two, like you said, there was two things in there. What are we doing? We just had Earth Day last week. We had all of our crews go out and do what they could. Not that, it's like trying to eat an elephant or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's a concern of ours too, and I really don't know what the answer is. A lot of the garbage that is along the road might not even be on the way to the landfill. Might just be flying out of trucks or whatever. I did speak to Chet Irwin, the manager out at the landfill, and talked about the tarp loads. A lot of people stopped down by the Flying J and tarped their loads, so who knows what blew off on the highway. The people that do come in with an untarped load, in ordinance, I think it's a $20 fine. If they don't have $20, you turn them away. It goes behind the big M. It's a hard thing to enforce. One thing that Chet did say is maybe if we bought tarps and handed them out to the people that didn't have them, I don't know. We have found trash with mail in it from the residents, give it to the police, and nothing happens. It is hard to enforce. We do the best we can from Rocker to the landfill to keep it clean. We got two guys that go up and down the road there every day and try and keep it cleaned up. We because the commissioners approved the budget out there, we have all the litter screens because it's a high wind area, but we try and catch everything. We don't have a mess around the landfill, but we do along the MDT route, which we talked about all the way from, pretty much Continental Drive to Rocker. There's a lot of garbage, but I'm not exactly sure what we do to address it. We can't really go out and pick it all up. You can make an attempt, but good windy day and it's back there again. But we're also open for suggestions too.
Thank you, Director Neary, on that. And Commissioner Callahan has a suggestion or a comment at this time.
Yeah, I was just going to comment. I know when we passed this ordinance with the fine, I think the first few months, or I don't know how many tarps we had purchased, and we gave people tarps when they came without a tarp and says, we'll give you a break this time, but next time you need to be tarped. And I don't know how well that worked. Obviously, this year, trash is bad. You go out the highway, you go out Iron Street, it's probably got as much on the side of the road as, it's got more on the side of the road than the dump has on the road, So, unfortunately, this is a big problem. We need to figure out a way to address it, and I don't know. When I saw Russ's communication, I thought maybe we could sit down with the sheriff and see if maybe they can start pulling people over in town. If, because I do know the people in Rocker tell us they stop right there and put the tarp on before they go to the highway or go to the dump. And so they've already lost a number of pieces between Butte and there. So maybe if we can talk to the sheriff and see if they'll start pulling people over. I don't know if our ordinance gives them that authority or not, but maybe it's something we can look into. Just a suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan, on that suggestion and that reminder that we did give out tarps at one time when we put that new fine into an ordinance. Commissioner O'Leary would like to speak.
Yeah, I guess, do you know how many times we've assessed the fee at the landfill in the last year, or what we generally get for that? I mean, is that any, I'm sure we can find it somewhere in the budget, but just off the top of your head.
Commissioner, or Director Neary.
Thank you, Chairman Mankins. How much we assess from the uncovered loads?
Sorry, how many times we've assessed it in the last year?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe we can look that up. We'll find it.
So it's kind of a tough, until you finally catch the person, or, I believe that they would be cited, or the landfill is doing, and I would agree with Director Neary, going from Rocker to the landfill, the cleanup is really good, because after the letter came in, I went out there myself. I seen guys out there cleaning it up, making sure we did put those screens in. I know that Ted Irwin does a phenomenal job and continue to assess the fines when needed. But like he says, a lot of the times that the people are smart enough to know where they're going to put that tarp on and in between that rocker and in our community. So, you know, our community just has to step up and hopefully tarp it before they go out to rocker. I don't know why they'd want to have that, I guess, to do that to our community and not be fined. And I think that is a really good suggestion by Commissioner Callahan to maybe talk to the sheriff, and if they do see something like that going in that stretch, to see if we could pull over and assess some kind of other fine along with that, with littering or something. But it does need to be addressed, and hopefully that our community members would step up. And it was great that Earth Day, with this letter coming in and being Earth Day just last week, that would have been a good opportunity to rally the people in that area, in that district, or in all districts, I should say, to try to beautify Butte a little bit more with that Earth Day. So moving forward, if someone wants to do that, you know, everybody's more than willing to chip in. And I know there's a lot of people out there listening that would like to do that on a day, an evening, or a couple of days, and pick a portion of some kind of road and do that. And, you know, maybe we can come up with some kind of challenge maybe to do that. With all of us to see what we can do. But Commissioner O'Leary.
Yeah, I guess just to follow up to Commissioner Callahan's question about potentially having the police pulling people over. Do we know? Does anybody know off the top of their head whether our ordinance gives the police the ability to do that, or if that only has to do, you know, if somebody's going through town with an uncovered load, you know, does our ordinance require them to have a covered load going only to the landfill, or is it just any load in Butte needs to be covered? Is that how our ordinance is written? Does anybody know?
Director Neary.
Thank you, Chairman Mankins. Commissioner O'Leary, it's in our landfill ordinance, so I don't know that. You're littering, though. Littering is against the law. So I believe that if there's garbage flowing out of your truck, you should be able to be ticketed for it. Yeah.
And that is on the books right now. Yeah. Yes.
If they do litter, they can write them a ticket. Do they have to follow them and see the litter? You know, that's one of those situations. But if it's blown out, all they have to do is follow them. It'll blow out. They can pull them over, and, you know, the odds are if it's uncovered, something's going to come out. So it's an option we should try to push for and see where that takes us.
So with that being said, Commissioner O'Leary, anything else that you'd like to discuss with this communication? Or where do you want this can go to next? Or do we want to place on file? Do we want to?
Well, I guess maybe the thing to do here, we've got a couple suggestions on the table here. Maybe we hold this and do a couple follow-ups. One being figuring out whether the ordinance allows us to specifically pull people over in town. Maybe ask the sheriff to do some of that around the city. And then number two, it would be great to know, and maybe this is something we can ask Mr. Irwin about, how many times we've had the covered load fine, or covered load, a fee, I guess is what it is, assessed in the last year, just to get an idea of what that looks like. And we'll hold this, I guess, until the next meeting. But so I guess I'll make a motion to hold this Communication 2025-297 until we have further updates.
Thank you. So there is a motion on the floor to hold this communication with further updates on how many fines we've assessed at the landfill. I'm speaking openly here that Director Neary would probably reach out to Chet Irwin to see that. And then with that, Are you going to, with Sheriff Lester, would you reach out to Commissioner O'Leary to see if Sheriff Lester would want him to attend, or how do you want to move forward with Sheriff Lester?
Yeah, I'd be happy to give him a call and have that conversation with him.
Awesome. So,
I guess my suggestion would be we'll invite him to the next meeting. That way he can talk to us on the record. Does that make sense?
Director Neary.
One thing that was also brought up is I don't think we have a requirement of a covered load for our alley rally. I don't think that's part of that to where we could, it's too late this year, but we could probably implement it for next year to make sure that all loads, trash, are covered. Right. Yeah, because that could be a lot of the garbage on Continental too. So.
Thank you, Director Neary, for that insight that we do not have that on the books right now, that we have a fine for an uncovered load going to alley rally, and with that we'll probably have to work on that. Like Director Neary has stated, right now it would probably not get through at this time, but moving forward that we would try to implement that for the up and coming season next year for the alley rally. And Director Neary has one more.
Thank you, Chairman Mankins. One thing we are trying to implement is we're getting, we believe, a lot of trash from out of town, and there's no way to prove it. So we're trying to implement a card system right now to where, you would have a card when you show up at the landfill, to where if you show up with an uncovered load, it'd be easier to charge you on your taxes. You know what I mean? On that we'd be able to enforce it a little easier. Don't turn them away, but just let them go ahead and dump it. Say, okay, this is going to show up. So we could get them, but we are still a ways away from getting that card system implemented though too. So, but that would be a way to kind of have a little bit of control on that too.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yeah, I think the last time I talked to Mr. Irwin, he said that our landfill's filling up about double of what we think it should be, because we are getting a ton of garbage from out of town. And like you said, there's no real way of tracking. We got numerous people in our community that's been here 4 years since COVID. They still have out-of-state plates, And when they come to the dump, obviously they're living somewhere, but their plates are telling that they're from out of town and out of state. And we're also getting a lot from out of town. People bring it here. He's told me that they've had lots of them come from Gallatin County even, because they pay by the poundage or something over there, and we don't have to charge here unless it's over, what is it, half a ton, 1,000 pounds. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. And like what Director Neary was saying about with the out of town, and Commissioner Callahan has piggybacked off of, is there a way, because I know that when I go to different dumps in the surrounding areas, landfills, they do question what your address is and where you're bringing your load to. So is that something that we could enforce, or have the people at the gate at the landfill do that?
Chairman Mankins, we do ask now, but if you say, are you from Butte or Anaconda, and they pick one, so they're not going to say if there's, but even if, here's another problem. If they're from Missoula and you say, well, you can't dump here, they go behind the Big Butte too. And we clean a lot of stuff. We clean a lot of garbage up from behind the Big M and on Santa Claus Road. So those are just some of the issues that we have. And another thing on Commissioner Callahan's comment about, Chet saying the landfill is filling up faster. Since COVID, people have been cleaning up. People couldn't go to work, and that, there's a lot of garbage. There was a lot of properties bought during COVID, sight unseen, and they come in and they got all this garbage there and they're cleaning it up. So there's been a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of good to it too, but it is filling.
Thank you, Director Neary, and thank you all for positive discussion here. So with that being said, we are going to hold communication number 2025-297. With that being, oh yeah, so all those in favor? All those against? So at this time, we will, 4-0, we will hold communication number 2025-297 in hold in abeyance until we get a report back from Director Neary from Chet Irwin on how many loads have been assessed a fee that were uncovered, and invite Sheriff Lester to come to the meeting next to discuss maybe giving a ticket for littering for uncovered loads going to the landfill. With that being said, I will take a motion to adjourn. So we have a motion to adjourn. We have a second, so all those in favor? So we are